How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Moka, Mizore and Shion. Part 2. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Naruto followed the young witch and soon came upon the knoll and made his way up to the house where he soon found Ruby talking with the older witch. "My lady, I do not think that it is a good idea to attack the humans," Ruby began. "What?" the older witch snapped. "There must be another way, a way that will not require death. Have you lost your mind?" she shouted. "Remember what those filthy humans have done to you. What they plan on doing to our home. But no. I will not see my home destroyed. And if you will not help me then you are my enemy as well," she shouted as she picked up her spellbook. Before she could open it, Naruto manipulated the shadows and snatched the book away from her. "I'd listen to the nice young lady," Naruto stated as he walked in. "Who are you?" the older woman snapped. "Naruto Uzumaki," he replied as he stared at her. "I'm here to ask you to stop trying to hurt humans." "Well, I detest what they are doing as well. Violence isn't the answer. Violence only leads to more violence, a never-ending cycle. There are other ways of handling this mess." "No, there isn't. The humans must be eradicated." "Are you so foolish as to try and start a war with the humans that you cannot win?" Naruto asked. "Humans outnumber your forces thousands to one. If you start attacking them then you are going to force them to retaliate, and when that happens it will be bloody and in the end you will lose everything." "What would you know of losing everything?" "I lost everything twice now. I lost the respect of my home, of the people that I fought to protect. And I lost my home, trapped here in this dimension until I can find a way back. They probably think that I'm dead now," Naruto replied with a sad look in his eyes. The older witch frowned at him as she stared at him, and then with a wave of her hand, she lit several candles around them, and when she saw him her eyes widened. "You?" she exclaimed. "The great devourer. He who shall rend all we know asunder, the king of demons that walks clothed in human flesh." "What now?" Naruto asked, clearly confused. "My lady?" Ruby asked as she tried to touch her hand, but it was swatted away. "No. Upon his coming shall the world change, and a great danger shall befall all that lives, and all that may yet live. His very steps shake the world, his every action destroys the old. He must be stopped, he must be slain, or all that exists may end," she cried out as she grabbed her spellbook back and summoned her entire army of plant monsters. "Kill him. Stop him." Now Naruto was very confused but knew that he was in danger as he saw the approaching horde. Frowning, he slipped out 2 kunai and sent fire down the blades as he slashed through the first few monsters that approached him. Twisting and weaving through the monsters, Naruto's blades flashed as he cut down the enemies. Skidding to a stop in a small clear patch, he saw Ruby trying to convince the older woman to stop, but to no avail. "Please my lady. You must stop this." "No. He must die if we want to live," she shouted back as she opened her spellbook. "It appears that I must do this myself." She then spoke a spell and all the plants soon converged on her and began to become one. Once it was finished, Naruto stood facing a 10-story tall plant monster that was controlled by the now mad witch at the top of the head. "When it rains it pours," Naruto grumbled as he dodged one of its massive feet. Leaping back, Naruto sent a blast of fire at the witch and quickly realized that this monster was just as flame-retardant as the last ones he had fought. "How do I take this thing down?" Naruto thought. "It won't be easy, but I might have a suggestion," Jubi remarked. "I'm all ears," Naruto replied. "The spellbook. Destroy the crystal and you will stop her," Jubi answered. "Okay, and how do I get to it?" "I do not know. But you might want to jump to the left. You're about to be hit." "I know," Naruto roared. Naruto rolled to the side as he dodged the massive fist that had tried to hit him. Stopping, he glared up at the older witch and saw where her spellbook was and saw Ruby flying near her, trying to calm her down. "Ruby," Naruto shouted to the witch as he dodged another strike. "I could use a lift." Ruby blinked at this and then nodded as she flew down and grabbed his outstretched arm and picked him up, flying him up to the head where Naruto leapt and landed, avoiding the tendrils that tried to grab him as he managed to get close to the book, taking out a kunai and stabbing the crystal. The older witch let out a screech as the book was destroyed and her spells unraveled. It was only moments before the plants were back to normal and she lay there with Naruto and Ruby dying. "Ruby," she whispered, I am sorry that I did this to you. I was so consumed by my revenge, I never saw another way. And you, Naruto?" "Yes?" Naruto asked. I saw a vision, something that I have never had happen to me. It scared me, it is why I attacked." "What did you see?" Naruto asked. It is fading now. But it is written, find my teacher's grimoire, it will be in there," she gasped. Naruto nodded as he stood up and moved a few steps away so that Ruby could have her final moments with the woman that had taken her in. When Naruto heard Ruby begin to cry, he knew that the older witch had died and he moved back over to her and placed an arm around her shoulder. "I am sorry." Naruto said I didn't want it to come to that. I know, Ruby sobbed, thank you. If it's any consolation, I will do anything that I can to make sure that this place doesn't become another landfill. Naruto promised. Ruby only smiled at this and nodded to him. That night Naruto helped Ruby dig the grave for the older witch, and once she was buried, Naruto whispered a prayer that she be judged for what she had wanted to protect, not for the action she had taken to do it. When the sun rose, Naruto and Ruby still stood over the grave, just as the other girls arrived. Naruto! Moka shouted as they ran over. Hey! Naruto nodded as they all hugged him and saw the grave. Who died? Yukari asked. Ruby's teacher. She went mad and tried to attack me. I had to stop her. Naruto said, so as a last respect I helped bury her, and I will do what I can to protect this place. The others all blinked at this and saw Naruto walking towards the edge of the field where several other people were arriving. Apparently during the fight people had seen the giant monster and were now coming to investigate. Thinking quickly, Naruto spun a tale about how they had done this to get attention drawn to this place and for the people to come and see how beautiful it was before it was destroyed. This quickly snowballed, and over the next few days there were several protests about destroying the beautiful witch's knoll for a landfill, and by the end of the week the people had won and the knoll was saved. Naruto stood in the knoll on the last day smiling at what had been accomplished. He knew that it had cost a woman her life, but her goal had been met without having blood on her hands. Naruto, however, was also there for another reason. As he entered the old cottage he searched through the books until he found the grimoire that he was looking for. He flipped through the pages before he stopped when he found the prophecy that the old witch's teacher had left, and what he read caused him to worry. Naruto! Moka shouted, come on, it's time to go. Right. Naruto shouted back as he closed the book and walked out to see Ruby still standing there. I'll see you later. Yes. Ruby nodded as she smiled at him, you are a very kind person. Thanks. Naruto chuckled as he started to leave. Feel free to come visit us at Yakai Academy. We'd love to see you again. Sure. Ruby nodded as she turned and went into the cottage. Naruto was soon on the bus, deep in thought as they returned to the school where he quickly made his excuses, saying he would meet up with them later, and went straight to see the headmaster. Ah, Naruto. What is it? Mikagami asked. This. Naruto stated as he passed him the book, already open to the prophecy. Born again the Demon King, 10 tails flailing as the doom shall sing. For with every step the world shall cry, light or dark one will die. The void of power and endless strife shall herald a battle for all of life. And upon the end one shall fall, while the other still stands tall. Mikagami read, a frown crossing his features. This is troubling indeed. What the hell does it mean? Naruto asked. It sounds like I'm going to destroy the world. I don't know, but a prophecy is never to be taken lightly. One way or another they always come true, but not in the way that one would expect. He explained, I remember reading an account of a young man that was foretold to kill his whole family, and so he fled and hid far from them, so that could never happen. Then one day he finds intruders in his house and attacked, killing them all. As it turned out they were what was left of his family. So you see, things don't always turn out the way we think. I will read this and consult those more experienced than I about this. We may be able to determine the meaning behind these words. Fine. Naruto nodded as he turned to leave. It didn't take long for him to get back to the clubroom and find that the girls had already started working on their article. Naruto-kun. Yukari exclaimed, where'd you go? Had to go talk to the headmaster really quick. Naruto replied as he sat down at the computer and began typing his article. The girls tried to get more information out of him, but he was tight-lipped about it and refused to elaborate more. Get your paper. Naruto shouted from the booth as various students and teachers purchased the papers that Naruto and the girls had spent the weekend working on. The front page read a peaceful solution, with the article covering Naruto and the girls working with humans to preserve the home of a witch that had only wanted to be left alone. The papers sold well and sparked many different reactions from the school, to hope for the humans and human yakai relations, to the darker mutterings about how yakai shouldn't have to work with humans. As the papers sold, Naruto kept thinking about that prophecy and what it might entail for him and all of his friends. Naruto groaned in displeasure as he worked on his homework, having gone outside to work. Nekamane had found out that he was starting to slack and had banned him from the newspaper until he turned in all his assignments. So now he was working on the missing assignments that he had let slip by due to his studying prophecy and trying to determine the meaning of the very foreboding one concerning him. As he finished the last math problem he set aside the papers and looked back at the list of work he had to do. Okay, math is done, but I still have that science paper to write. Naruto noted as he checked off the math assignments. As he turned he felt a gust of wind and saw the math homework start to blow away. Oh no you don't. Naruto shouted as his shadow leapt off the ground and snatched the papers, with only one missing his grasp. Sighing he stood up and walked into the bushes where it landed and blinked as he came face to face with a young girl who was staring at him. She was close to Kurumu's height with light purple hair and blue eyes with bits of purple at the top, and her pupils were a darker shade of blue. She wore a light brown pleated checkered skirt, a white sweatshirt with long dark blue sleeves, a yellow pendant, long dark and light purple striped stockings with white shoes, and has a belt tied to her left leg. The two made eye contact, and Naruto tried to figure out where he had seen this girl before as she handed him the paper. Here she said around the lollipop in her mouth. Thanks. Naruto smiled as he took it from her. Hate to waste an hour and a half of hard work. Math can be hard sometimes. She nodded and caused Naruto to frown. How do you know it was math? He asked. The book. She stated as she pointed to the math book he had been working out of. Oh yeah. Naruto chuckled as he started to leave. So why are you in the bushes anyway? I was watching you, Naruto Uzumaki. She replied calmly, causing Naruto to stop in mid-step. Excuse me? He asked as he looked at her, senses on high gear. I'm a fan of your articles in the paper. She replied as she reached into the pocket of her sweatshirt and took out a journal. I've collected every one. Naruto now blinked in surprise as she offered him the journal and he opened it. Inside was every article and her own commentary about them. Most of the conclusions were seemed to be drawn in a relationship way, and Naruto blinked in shock at some of the statements she had written. I think I just met my second stalker. Naruto stated in pure shock. As stalkers go though, she is rather cute. Jubi chimed in. Thanks. Naruto nodded as he handed her back the journal and sat down to work, the girl now joining him. So what's your name? Mizore Shirayuki. We are in the same homeroom. She stated calmly as Naruto blinked and smacked himself in the forehead. That's where I know you from. I've been trying to figure it out since I saw you. Naruto chuckled as he opened the science book, but I don't see you in class much. I don't like going to class much. Mizore stated. I know the feeling. Naruto sighed as he continued skimming over the paper, but it's part of the Pakage deal. The silence fell over them for a few moments before Naruto sighed and set the book down while making Kage Bunshin and had them get to work, surprising Mizore. Faster this way. Naruto replied as he looked at her, and it frees me up to chat. I see. Mizore nodded. Soon they were talking amiably, discussing nothing of any real relevance until Naruto heard someone shouting his name. Well, that's my cue to leave. Naruto sighed as he stood up. See you in class. I'd like to talk some more. Mizore said. I would too, you seem really nice. But my friends are done at the club and I promised them that when they were done I'd hang out. Naruto smiled. Friends? Mizore asked with a frown. Yeah. Moka, Kurumu and Yukari. Naruto replied. Don't you have any friends here? No. What? Naruto exclaimed. Okay, change of plans. Without another word he grabbed Mizore by the hand, failing to notice the blush that hid her face as he dragged her with him towards the sounds of the other girls shouting for him. There you are, Naruto Koi. Kurumu shouted as she saw him and then frowned when she saw the girl he was leading. Who is that? Everyone, this is Mizore, she's in the same homeroom as me. Since she doesn't have any real friends here, she is going to be hanging out with us. Naruto replied with his trademark foxy grin. Oh, I haven't seen you in our homeroom, Mizore. Where do you sit? Moka asked with a smile. In the back when I'm there. Mizore replied. Well, come on, we need to make sure Naruto has all his work done. Yukari grinned evilly. He's been slacking. I have not, I've just been distracted. Naruto exclaimed. I what? Kurumu asked with a grin. Been thinking about me? I doubt it. Yukari exclaimed. This led to an argument between the two of them as Moka sighed and asked to see what Naruto had gotten done. Once they had looked over his work they were soon talking and joking about different things, though Mizore was obviously uncomfortable around all of the other girls. The next day Naruto was allowed back into the club where Nekomane chided him for falling behind in his studies. I know the club is important, but you can't fall behind in schoolwork because of it. She said again. I know, Nekomane-sensei, I just got a lot on my mind lately. Naruto apologized again as he finished his article. Once the club let out he was out walking the fields to stretch his legs when he sensed Mizore was behind him. Turning he saw the girl directly behind him and felt kind of unnerved. How did you do that? He asked with a grin. I'm very quiet. She replied calmly. You were back in the club today. Yeah, yesterday was a one-day deal. Naruto chuckled as he started to walk again. So you don't want to see me again? Mizore asked with a sad voice. I never said that. Naruto exclaimed in surprise. It was fun hanging out with you yesterday. Then why don't you want to come see me more often? She asked. I have other responsibilities. Naruto explained with a smile. It isn't that I don't like you, it's because I have to make sure that I do my fair share with the newspaper and keep up in school. But what about after that? She asked. That usually chews up a lot of my time. I mean, I do have some time before first period where I get my training in, but that's just because I don't sleep much. Naruto chuckled. Mizore frowned at him and stepped closer. I think you're trying to avoid me. Why would I do that? Naruto asked in shock. Why do you place so much importance on things like school and the newspaper and not on me? Because we just met and I made a promise to each of them. I never break a promise. Naruto replied. The two stared at each other for a couple of moments before Mizore grabbed Naruto by the arm and started pulling him towards the woods. Not really wanting to upset the girl, he let her lead them to the shore of a small pond where she pushed him to the ground and sat next to him. Do you know why I love you? She asked quietly. Not really. Naruto stated, but I've yet to figure out any woman to the point where I understand anything that they do. I love you because I feel like you are lonely too. I see you interact with the other girls and other people, but it feels like you are going through the motions. That you really don't feel like you belong here. Mizore explained that you are just as lonely as I am. Naruto blinked at her explanation and felt each word slam into him like a physical blow. As much as he wanted to deny it, those words were true to a degree. He was lonely, he did miss his home and his old friends. The forests of Hai no Kuni and all the quiet and peaceful places that he knew. But in the end he did have a home for himself here too. He had made 3 great friends and met some interesting people. He would quite say that he was lonely all the time, but he would say that he could understand the girl a lot better than most people would. Mizore, Naruto began, taking a deep breath. I'm not quite what you think I am. I do feel that loneliness sometimes, probably more than I have a right to, but I am not lonely all the time. I have made some friends here, people that do genuinely care about me. I think that in the end what you need is someone to care about you, someone to be your friend and show you real compassion. You've been alone for a long time, and I have been in a place just like that, but the only cure for that is to find people that you would die to protect and stand beside them. Find those irreplaceable people and keep them close to you. That cures loneliness better than anything I have ever encountered. I know you don't have any friends, and while you may really want me and me alone, it would be best if you could find others that care about you. I am willing to be your friend, to help fill that void in your heart, but it's going to take more than just be by myself. Try to open up to my friends, Moka, Kurumu and Yukari. Try to get close to them too, and that will certainly make things a lot better for you. Mizore stared at Naruto as he talked, seeing in his eyes the same pain and loneliness that she had felt, and also seeing that he didn't want her to be alone. Leaning towards him she tried to kiss him, but felt the blonde stop her. Whoa there. He smiled. I said friends, not boyfriend and girlfriend. Let's start slow and go from there. Slow, Mizore stated, staring at him. Slow. If something builds then we will go from there. Naruto grinned as he hugged her. You are more than welcome to be one of my friends, Mizore. Mizore blinked back some tears that were starting to form in her eyes as Naruto held her and soon was returning the hug. After a moment Naruto released the embrace and stood up. I've got to go. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Naruto smiled as walked away. Mizore only nodded her head as he left, sitting on the shores of the pond and thinking about what Naruto had said. The next day Naruto was walking past the teacher's lounge when he heard Nekomane talking with the gym teacher Kitsubo, who was accusing Mizore of attacking 2 of his soccer players and wanted her expelled since she had attacked him last semester. Pausing, Naruto stopped and then knocked on the door. Nekomane-sensei, I know Mizore personally. Let me talk to her and get the truth of events. He offered, worried that had taken a gaara turn and started attacking people to fill that emptiness. Thank you, Naruto. Nekomane smiled as she handed him a stack of papers as well. Take her this as well. She has missed quite a lot of homework and if she doesn't start turning it in soon she is going to be held back a year. I'll make sure that she gets it done. Naruto smiled as he turned and walked out of the office. After getting directions from one of the students that knew where her dorm was, he knocked on the door and waited a few moments. It was soon opened a little by Mizore, who stared at Naruto with a confused expression. Naruto-kun, what are you doing here? Mizore asked. 2 reasons actually. First is that due to your absences, Nekomane-sensei sent me to try and convince you to come back to class since you'll be held back if you miss any more days. Also, I've brought you all your missing assignments. Naruto explained as he held up the bag holding the large stack of papers. Don't worry, I can help you with it if you want. What's the second reason? Trouble. Naruto sighed. Look, I don't think you did this, but Kitsubo-sensei is accusing you of attacking 2 of his soccer players. Did you do this? No. Mizore stated, shaking her head. I froze them when they started laughing at me being all alone again. Once I calmed down I unfroze them and left them alone, untouched. Okay, I'm going to go figure out what's going on. I'll be back later to let you know what I figure out. Naruto promised as he ran off, handing her the bag as he did. Naruto began his search by going to the pond and looking around for tracks. He found the 2 soccer players and frowned as he found another set that had to be Kitsubo's. What shocked him was the blood splatter that was around the teacher's tracks. Frowning, Naruto stood where he was and mimed attacking the 2 students and found that the splatter would go around him perfectly. Shaking his head he quickly went to the infirmary where he found the 2 students and was pleased to see them awake. I'm with the newspaper. Naruto smiled as he stepped in. I heard about your attack and want to know if you remember who did it. Yeah. After that crazy chick Mizore froze and unfroze us, she left in a huff. We were sitting there warming up a bit when Kitsubo-sensei showed up and started beating us up with these tentacles. One explained. Yeah. We must have blacked out. The other nodded. Now Naruto was concerned as to why Kitsubo would try to frame Mizore when he knew it would be a bust. Blinking as realization hit him, he took off at a sprint and released his seals as he did to pick up the pace. He soon found that Mizore wasn't in her dorm and picked up her tracks heading towards the cliffs. As he arrived, he saw Mizore getting dragged over the edge by a tentacle and he rushed forward, grabbing the purple-haired girl's outstretched arm. Hold on. He shouted as he pulled her and the transformed Kitsubo over the edge of the cliff, revealing the gym teacher to be a kraken. As Naruto saw the marks on Mizore, something primal inside of him roared in anger as he turned towards Kitsubo. As he moved towards the transformed teacher, he felt his hands growing colder and colder, and soon he heard Mizore gasp as his hands steamed from such a difference in the temperature that they were to the air around them. You little, I'll kill both of you now. Kitsubo shouted as his tentacles shot towards Naruto. Naruto moved as though in a trance and slipped around the tentacles before placing his hands on the ground. Pay for your crimes. Kamarai no Kiba Ice Fang. Naruto roared as the cold shot towards Kitsubo and formed a massive spiked iceberg on the ground, piecing the gym teacher in several areas, including his tentacles, causing them to go limp as the sub-zero temperatures froze him in place. Naruto, Mizore whispered, did you kill him? No. He'll wish he is dead though when they thaw him out. Naruto chuckled. Now the golden question is, how the hell did I do that? Mizore blinked at this and asked, you don't know? No, I just knew how to manipulate fire and shadows. You idiot. Jubi sighed in frustration. You haven't figured it out yet. Figured what out? Naruto asked in pure confusion. But God, I am trapped inside a moron. Jubi complained, it's simple. Your powers that you get from me come from intense feelings of love, you stupid mortal. Love? Yes, love, you dipshit. It's what creates new powers and ninjutsu abilities. How did you think that the shinobi world was built? Hard work and ingenuity. No, it was from the Rakuto Sennin having my powers and having children to pass them on. He taught them the basics, but elemental release comes from me. Jubi explained. So the fire and shadows? Naruto asked. Fire for your love of your home Konoha, which is the shinobi village of Hai no Kuni. Shadows for your love of being a shinobi and dream of being Hokage. How have you not figured this out sooner? Well, you weren't exactly helpful when we started this whole thing. And it's not like there is some handbook to read. So the eyes. You love that cute little stalker of yours. Jubi sighed. I get that I have done some bad things, but what on earth did I do to wind up stuck inside of you? Killed a lot of people. Naruto replied. Ah. Last time I killed hundreds of people, it was the Rakuto Sennin I was sealed in, and he was smart enough to figure out my powers and how to use them, even made the biju from me. You are the stupidest person I have ever had the misfortune of meeting and not being able to kill. Jubi complained. Naruto snapped himself out of his mental debate to see Mizore staring at him worried. Sorry about that. Naruto sighed as he looked her over. You okay? Yes, thank you for saving me, she smiled. It's what friends are for. Naruto smiled back as he hugged her. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. The pair stood like that for several moments before Naruto heard people coming and turned to see that the other girls were bringing Nekomane with them. Naruto. Moka exclaimed as she ran over and hugged him. I was worried about you. It's fine. Naruto replied. I was just proving Mizore-chan's innocence. Mizore-chan? Kurama asked in an annoyed tone as she looked at the girl who smirked and clung to Naruto's arm. So it was Kitsubo? Nekomane asked with a frown. Yeah. Apparently he staged the attack to try and frame Mizore and then kill her for spurning him last semester. Naruto explained, but his students ratted him out and I caught him attacking Mizore. So you trapped him in ice? Nekomane asked Mizore. No, Naruto-kun did. Mizore replied as they all looked at Naruto. It's true. Naruto nodded. Since when can you use ice? Yukari exclaimed. Since about 5 minutes ago. Naruto grinned as he saw the exasperated looks on Moka, Kurama and Yukari's faces. So shall we inform the headmaster and get this squid out of here before I start cooking calamari? This earned laughter from all the girls as they walked off with Naruto and Mizore hanging back. So Mizore, what yokai are you anyways? Naruto asked. A Yuki-onna snow fairy. She replied. Jinchuruki. Naruto said in turn. Mizore only smiled at him as she looked him in the eyes and gave him a quick peck on the lips, bringing an immediate blush to his face. For saving me. She smiled as she put the lollipop back in her mouth. Oh no, she didn't. Kurama shouted as she saw the scene and had Moka and Yukari restraining her from killing Mizore, who only smirked at the succubus as she clung to Naruto's arm again. By the next day Mizore had transferred into the newspaper club and had Naruto helping her catch up on all her homework, much to the other girls' chagrin that he spent so much more time with Mizore than them. It had been a few weeks since Mizore had joined their group of friends, and while she hadn't opened up to them as much as Naruto had hoped she would, she was able to be around them without any major difficulties. Currently Naruto was finishing an article pertaining to the rise in missing students and how the weaker yokai should start to work with a pack mentality to keep each other safe when he heard knocking on the door. Frowning, he saw Jin open the door, and after a brief conversation he turned. "Hey Naruto, someone here to see you," he shouted. Blinking, Naruto stood up and walked over to the door and saw Ruby standing there with a smile. "Ruby-san," Naruto said in shock as he saw the older witch. "Naruto-kun." Ruby nodded. "The headmaster sent me to get you," she explained, causing Naruto to blink at this statement. "Okay." Naruto nodded as he created a Kage Bunshin to finish his article. "I'll be back later." He called to the girls who all were focused on their work and only gave nods or okays as their replies. Naruto and Ruby walked through the hallways before Naruto spoke. "So you're working for the headmaster?" Naruto asked. "Yes. I needed something to do and the headmaster offered me a job working as his assistant," Ruby explained. "Lot of work." "He works me like a dog," Ruby said, a blush hitting her face as Naruto looked at her and decided not to say anything. Soon they were in Mikagami's office and he motioned for Ruby to leave. "Naruto, I need your assistance with a matter," Mikagami began as he handed the blonde a folder. Naruto opened it to find several different pages, including two that were copies of a newspaper article detailing two small towns that had the entire population completely disappear. "What's this about?" Naruto asked. "A problem that could reveal the entire yokai world to humanity if we do not act quickly. We do not know who or what is causing this, but in the last 2 weeks 2 entire towns have had the populations completely vanish, not so much as a trace of them. I was sent this by a yokai that works in the police department near both the towns, and they are getting concerned. They asked me to investigate this and stop it before it gets out of hand, and thus I am sending you." "Why me?" Naruto asked. "You're a trained soldier that has served actively until these past few months, and I sincerely doubt that you have been idle during this time when you are not getting into fights with the other students and faculty." Mikagami grinned. "And with your training you'll be able to track down whoever is causing this and deal with the perpetrator or perpetrators quickly and quietly." "So how long do I have before they attack another village?" Naruto asked. "The attack seemed to happen late Sunday night, so you have until Sunday morning to deal with it." "So little more than a day and a half." Naruto nodded as he looked in the file again. "Do I have a cover or am I camping?" "I have a cover for you, including currency to cover your expenses." Mikagami shrugged. "Will you do this?" "Yeah, I assume that you want them alive." "Yes. They need to be punished by our authorities without giving away anything to the humans. Capture them, kill only if absolutely necessary." Mikagami nodded. "Got it." Naruto nodded as he closed the folder and started to leave. "I'll be on my way in a few hours." "Thank you." Mikagami nodded as he resumed his work. As Naruto left the office, Ruby handed him a briefcase containing his identification that included a passport, currency, and a cell phone that would, according to her, reach the headmaster directly. Naruto was soon packed up and outside his dorm when Moka and the other girls came running up. "There you are, Naruto-kun." Moka smiled and then blinked when she saw the backpack and briefcase. "Are you going somewhere?" "Yeah. Headmaster has an assignment that he needs me to do in the human world," Naruto replied as all the girls stared at him in shock. "Why?" Kurumu asked finally. "Because he wanted me to handle it," Naruto replied as he walked towards the bus stop. "How long will you be gone?" Mizore asked. "For the weekend. I should be back Sunday night," Naruto answered. "What are you doing there?" Yukari asked. "That's classified," Naruto stated as he stopped by the sign and looked at the 4 girls that all had worried expressions on their faces. "Come on now, you all know that I have done some dangerous things before you all met me." "That was before we met you though," Mizore stated. "Yeah. We don't want you to do dangerous things on your own," Yukari agreed. "Part of my job." Naruto chuckled as the bus pulled up. "Here's my ride. I will see all of you on Sunday." He gave them all a quick hug before climbing on the bus and taking a seat. Soon the bus pulled away and was entering the portal that would take him to the human world. As the bus pulled up to the bus station in the closest city, Naruto climbed off and nodded towards bus driver. "Don't take any risks now," he said as he blew out some smoke and closed the door. Naruto only nodded as the bus left and he made his way into town. He was walking through the streets, trying to find the nearest hotel when he was suddenly getting the feeling that he was being followed. Pausing, he entered sage mode and focused around him before he finally picked up on who was near him. "You can come out now," he sighed as he turned behind him to see 5 guilty-looking faces. "You 4, I am not surprised that you followed me, but you dragged Ruby into this too." "I agreed to help," Ruby replied sheepishly. Ugh, what am I going to do with you guys? Naruto sighed. Love us? Yukari said hopefully, really meaning her and Moka. Whatever you want to me. Ruby replied. Ravish me? Kurumu offered. Make a baby with me. Mizore stated. Not be mad. Moka said last as Naruto looked at each one of them before he pointed at Moka. And we have a winner. He chuckled as he started walking again. Well, come on, let's go get a hotel room. This earned some cheers from the girls as Naruto finally found the hotel in town and walked in, motioning for the other girls to move off to the side and wait. How may I help you, sir? The man behind the desk asked as Naruto set the briefcase down. I need a suite if you please. Naruto stated calmly as he took out his ID. One moment. The man smiled as he started typing on the computer, and Naruto soon noticed that the yaki he was emitting was starting to affect the man as he was working much faster than normal. To get Naruto out of there, we have a suite available for a few days. How long will you be staying? Until Sunday morning. Naruto replied calmly. I see. Any guests that we should be aware of? Yes, my boss plans on sending a few of his adopted children to see the town, so it's my job to show them around. Naruto replied as he just kept his eyes locked on the man's. They should be arriving later today, there are 5 of them. Of course, sir. So one room, for 6 people. He quickly typed away the information before printing out Naruto's paperwork. Just sign here and let me get a copy of your ID. Naruto passed him the plastic rectangle and quickly skimmed the paperwork before signing it. Once the man returned, he gave Naruto the price for the room, which the blonde paid easily before taking the 3 card keys that he had been given. Please enjoy your stay. He smiled as Naruto nodded and walked away, with the girl soon running over to him as he walked towards the elevators. So what floor should I hit? Kurumu asked as the elevator door closed. Top floor. Naruto replied. Once they reached the floor, Naruto led them to the door and slid the key into the scanner and opened the door to reveal the large spacious room. The girl's eyes all widened as Naruto walked in and set his bag and briefcase onto the couch. How much did this cost? Ruby finally asked as the 5 walked in. Headmaster gave me the money, so I figured we might as well relax in style. Naruto shrugged as he sat down before taking out the file and reading over everything again. So are you going to tell us what you are doing? Moka asked as all the girls tried to take a look at the file. Capture mission. Naruto replied as he set the folder down and quickly explained what he was supposed to do. The girls all looked at Naruto with worry in their eyes before Yukari pointed something out. Those towns all had at least 200 people in them and there are no signs of a struggle. That means that whatever happened was fast, before anyone knew what was going on. My thoughts exactly. Meaning that they either have a powerful ability to manipulate people, capture them all at once, or that there are more of them than the population of each of these towns. Naruto nodded as the girls all looked at him with even more concern. What? Naruto, do you honestly think that you can fight off hundreds of yokai by yourself? Ruby asked. If I have to, yes. Naruto nodded as he met her gaze calmly. I've seen worse odds than this, I can handle it. Before any more worries could be added on, Naruto stood up and started exploring the giant hotel suite. There was a kitchen attachment with a fully stocked fridge and a price guide of how much it would cost to use the various items. The bathroom was a good size as well, with a large jacuzzi tub that could easily fit all of them. Last was the bedroom that Naruto saw had a large bed with a nightstand with a phone and alarm clock. That's a big bed. Mizore stated from behind him as she walked into the room. But it is. Naruto nodded as he was about to leave and saw Mizore make eye contact with him. Maybe we should break it in. She offered with a small blush, which Naruto quickly had a full-blown one on his face. Oh no. Naruto chuckled. None of that will be happening. None of what? Kurumu asked as she walked in and saw the bed and then gave a smile towards Naruto, who had a sinking feeling that he knew where this was going. If you don't want the Ice Queen, how about you let me help you use that bed? Kurumu smiled wickedly as she moved towards him. I believe I said no. Naruto said again as he started to back away from the succubus. Said no to what? Moka asked as she walked in with Yukari and Ruby, who saw the bed and saw the way Naruto was keeping back from the succubus. Is this normal with you? Ruby asked as she looked at Naruto. As much as I wish I could deny it, it is. Naruto replied as he flickered from sight and appeared at the doorway. I will let you ladies decide where each of you is sleeping, and no, I will not be sharing the bed with any of you. This earned a few moans of complaint from Kurumu, Mizore and Yukari as Naruto left the room. Later that night, after Naruto ordered some takeout and they had all eaten, Naruto explained to them his plan for tomorrow. We are going to go to both the villages and look for clues, see if we can find something that the police may have overlooked or not realized that it was evidence. Naruto explained, if all goes well I can pinpoint the general location and from there go in and deal with this problem. And if we can't find any evidence? Kurumu asked. Then we go to plan B, which is having Kage Bunshin scour the area until they find something. Naruto sighed. Only problem with that plan is that it forces us to lose any chance at stealth that we may have. I see. Ruby nodded as she had been planning on asking why not use that plan to start with. With that Naruto told them to get some rest as the girls had drawn straws and Moka, Kurumu and Ruby were sharing the bed, while Mizore and Yukari had the couches, while Naruto said he would find his own arrangements. The next morning the girls awoke to Naruto already working out, doing push-ups and muttering a number as he did. 997, 998, 999, 1000. Naruto grunted as he finished and stood up, shaking his arms that had a coating of sweat on them. You're up early. Mizore grumbled as she walked towards the bathroom. I could say the same for all of you. Naruto chuckled as he grabbed the hand towel that he had laying on one of the kitchen chairs he had pulled nearby and wiped the sweat off his body. Yeah, but you went to bed after us. Moka noted with a yawn. Everything is relative, I guess. Naruto replied as he walked towards the backpack and pulled out some clothes. Well, once everyone is ready we will head on out, grab some breakfast and then get to those towns. There was a chorus of mutterings about cheerful morning blondes as they all started getting ready. After close to an hour the six of them were in the back of a cab the size of a van, taking them to the edge of the first town. Once he had dropped them off Naruto walked into the town and began searching the area. The girls kept their eyes open as well, but they had no idea what Naruto was looking for and decided that it was best to stay out of his way. After close to an hour of him walking around he stopped and frowned at something on the ground. What is this? He muttered as he gently moved aside some fallen leaves to see a partial claw print. That looks like a lizardman print. Yukari stated in worry. And they rarely work alone. Naruto nodded as he searched some more and found some more evidence of what he was looking for. Nodding he moved to the edge of the village and found the general direction that they had come from and noted it in his mind. A few hours later they reached the next village and again Naruto found more of the lizardman footprints and soon picked out the direction that they had come from. Map please. Naruto said as he crouched on the ground as Ruby passed him the map. Okay, here is the first village. He began, circling the first one and here is the second. Circling that one as well. Now in the first one we found the footprints heading in this direction. He then drew a line going out at a diagonal towards the second village and here we found footprints going in this direction. Now he drew a line going towards the first village. They are somewhere where those lines cross. Moka exclaimed. My thoughts exactly. I could be more sure if there were more villages, but that would also mean that there are a lot more missing people and that the human world would be on high alert. But now we have a reasonable area to start searching. Naruto explained as the girls nodded at this as Naruto started walking through the fields and towards the potential threat. As they reached a hill Naruto motioned for the girls to stop as he crouched down and took out binoculars that he had brought with him. Found them? Naruto noted as he passed the binoculars to the girls who all saw the large camp of lizardmen. That is a lot of lizards. Kuruma muttered. Yeah. Yukari nodded, shaking a little as she still remembered when the lizardmen at Yakai Academy had tried to eat her. Okay, you all stay here. I'm going in. Naruto stated as he started to stand up. What? They all hissed. They are going to sense me coming before I get too close anyways, and if they see only me they will think that I am announcing my presence and likely let me closer. Naruto replied as he looked at the girls, but if they see me with a large group of women, then they are likely to think that I am bringing them a gift. So you all stay back and let me handle this. Each of the girls looked at him and tried to come up with some kind of retort, but the blonde's reasoning was too sound for them to argue. Walking down the hill Naruto watched as the camp of lizardmen sprang into activity as they sensed the enormous yokai that he was emitting and soon 5 of them were moving towards him, stopping just far enough apart that they were not in striking distance. What do you want? The first one hissed. I am here to speak to whoever is in charge. Naruto stated take me to him or I will use your skull as a goblet. The lizardmen all exchanged glances before hissing angrily at him. We do not take threats kindly stranger. It is not a threat, only a statement of what will happen if you seek to delay me. Naruto replied. And if we decide to call your bluff? The third one asked with a grin. Naruto only sighed as he flicked his wrist and a kunai embedded itself into his left foot, pinning him to the ground as Naruto took 2 steps forward and set a lance of fire through his right arm, searing it off of his body. The lizard screamed in pain as he watched his arm fall to the ground and looked at the blonde who had a bored expression on his face. The other 4 backed off and nodded for the blonde to follow them. Smiling Naruto grabbed the kunai from the foot of the other lizardman and walked with them into their camp where he was taken in front of a massive beast of a lizardman who only hissed angrily as he saw the blonde. Why do you bring this stranger before me? He roared. He says he has a message for you great one of the 5 said, bowing low he is a mighty yokai and we did not want to throw our lives away in vain to stop him from delivering it. Is that why one of you is missing an arm? He growled. It is. Naruto replied they thought to challenge me and I showed them what would happen. The giant lizardman and Naruto held each other's gaze for a few moments before the larger yokai grunted. Then speak. I have been sent by my superior to inform you that you have drawn the attention of human authorities to you. We know that it was you and yours that caused the disappearance of the humans in 2 whole towns. Due to this you have brought a great and terrible danger to all of the yokai, for if you are discovered then it is only a matter of time before the rest of us are. That is why I have been dispatched, you are to surrender and await judgment peacefully. Or you may resist and you will still face judgment. Naruto explained as he saw the lizardmen in the group around him start to bristle with anger. You think to threaten us? The leader roared in anger as he stood, grabbing a large mace and swinging it at Naruto, faster than the blonde had expected, and was thus only able to get his shadow up in time to stop him from being crushed as he was sent flying from the camp. Twisting in the air he landed on his feet and skidded to a stop as he saw the entire horde of lizardmen start to form in front of him. Naruto cracked his neck as he stood up to his full height and started to slowly walk towards them. I feel like Madara uchiha. Naruto thought to himself. The comparison is very apt given the current situation. Jubi noted. Naruto soon moved into a jog and then a run as he pumped chakra into his legs, just before jumping right into the middle of the crowd, landing on top of a lizardman and hearing the crunch of bones as he hit. Twisting to avoid the fist of one of the lizardmen near him, he grabbed the arm and swung him around, smashing him into several of his fellows, and then letting him go flying into a nearby tree before turning and working his way through the crowd. Naruto moved like the wind, never standing still and always flowing around the next attack, and often using one lizardman against another. After knocking more than 60 of the offenders unconscious, he saw that a larger lizardman was moving to smash him with a massive tree trunk that he was using as a club. Grinning Naruto moved under the blow, Rasengan forming in his hands as he did and right as he swung it down Naruto smashed the sphere of chakra into the offending lizardman and watched as he went flying backwards, crushing several of his fellows as he did. Turning Naruto dodged the claw of the next lizardman and brought up a knee to strike his stomach before punching him in the face and watching the light leave his eyes as he passed out. The fight raged for close to an hour with Naruto mowing down the various lizardmen until he finally was face to face with their leader, the last one standing as he grinned. You bastard. He roared as he swung his mace at Naruto who jumped on top of the weapon and then up into the air where he formed the Adama Rasengan and grinned as he brought the massive sphere of chakra, smashing down on top of the lizardman leader. Once he was certain that they were all unconscious, Naruto removed the cell phone that he had been keeping in his coat pocket and opened it up, holding down the number 2 speed dial button. Hello. Mikagami said as he picked up after the 3rd ring. Mission accomplished. Naruto stated the offenders were a large group of lizardmen, close to 220 of them. I see. And they are all still alive. Some have some broken bones and will not likely be walking or moving anytime soon, but they are all alive to face justice. Naruto confirmed. Excellent. On an unrelated note, would 5 young women happen to be with you that shouldn't be there? As a matter of fact they are. Naruto chuckled. Then please make sure that they come back in one piece. I will have Nekonim administer their punishments when they return. Of course. I assume that you will be contacting the necessary authorities. Yes. Leave the cell phone at the scene and they will trace it. Right. Naruto nodded as he hung up and created a small army of Kage Bunshin to tie up the lizardmen. As they worked Naruto set the phone on the ground and walked back towards the hill where the girls had been watching with wide eyes. Whoa, Yukari whispered as they finished watching the fight. I knew that he was strong, but that Ruby said in complete shock. Is anyone else slightly afraid of Naruto now? Kurumu asked. No, Mizore stated as she stared at the blonde who was talking on the phone at that time, but I am very turned on. You crazy stalker. Kurumu shouted. He is very powerful. Inner Moka noted with a satisfied grin, he would make a most interesting mate. Mate outer Moka mentally exclaimed. You can't tell me that you aren't attracted to him. He's handsome, strong and doesn't flaunt his powers or his abilities. He has all the right qualities in him to be an excellent mate. Outer Moka couldn't think of a response or have time to give one as Naruto walked back up in front of them. Well, now that we've dealt with that, let's go back. Naruto grinned as the girls all nodded before bombarding him with questions about how he had done that, which Naruto only replied that it was a trade secret. Soon they were all back in the hotel room and after a few hours all the girls were asleep while Naruto sat against the wall, soon falling asleep where he was then in front of the Jubi. Hello, Ninjin. Jubi chuckled from its seal as it looked at the blonde. What do you want? Naruto asked with a frown. This is the first time you've brought me here when I'm asleep. I have put some thought into some matters and decided to discuss them with you. Jubi replied calmly as it let its eye fall on him. So will you have a chat with me? Why not? This could prove interesting. Naruto replied as a chair materialized behind him. Excellent. Jubi nodded. First to discuss is our most recent encounter with hostile yokai. What about it? Don't you find it odd that such a large group of lizardmen were moving about or that they worked so stealthily when their leader was a complete imbecile? Actually I did. Naruto replied, you think a conspiracy? More like an organization. There are plenty of yokai that would love to eradicate all the humans, as you have seen from your time in Yokai Academy. It isn't too much of a stretch to think that they would group together and then begin destroying the humans. Valid point. Naruto nodded. I'll bring it up with Mikagami. Good. Next is something that we should discuss. Your abilities. You are actually going to talk to me about that? Naruto asked with a questioning look. It's overdue. Jubi sighed. I realize that neither of us have exactly been helpful to the other, and if you are to survive fights against various S-class yokai that I am sure that you are going to be attacked, then you need to understand what you are fully capable of. Okay, Naruto nodded, not quite trusting the Jubi, but willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. Now, as I explained, when you unlock your new ice powers, love is what triggers these new abilities to form. However, once they form they are genetic, meaning that they will be passed down to your children if they have the proper conduit for it. So if I were to have kids with just a regular shinobi, then they would be born with a strong affinity towards fire, shadows and ice. Jubi replied, it's how the elemental release was created. Your kind had chakra to a slight degree to begin with, not like you do now of course, but it was there. After the Rakuto Sennin beat me and sealed me inside of him, he felt a great love for the world and everyone in it. He wanted to make a better world and a better place for his descendants. From that he was gifted with the 5 basic powers of the world: fire, wind, lightning, earth and water. Wait, how are those the basic powers of the world? Naruto asked. Fire is the molten core that keeps the planet alive and allows things to grow. Wind to create the atmosphere that allows everything to breathe. Lightning to help create the magnetic field around the planet that stops the sun's rays from killing you. Water to sustain life on the planet. And earth to allow life to grow. These are the 5 basic elements of the planet, and from there all other elements are formed. Since the Rakuto Sennin loved the planet and everything it entailed, he was granted the powers of the 5 life-giving elements. These were passed on to his children and continue to be passed on, with the occasional genetic mutation creating new abilities. Jubi explained. Okay, Naruto nodded, soaking as much of it in as he could. So why are these powers triggered by love? Balance. In my released state I am a force of pure destruction that can alter the very landscape with minimal effort, so to balance my powers, nature has it when I am sealed that balance is a force of creation. Jubi replied. But how was I suddenly able to use ice? I mean, I just met Mizore. Naruto, love is not bound by logic or reasoning. Your mind might be saying that this isn't right, that it's going too fast, but your heart doesn't give a crap. It wants her and wants to protect her. When the ice started you had just seen the marks on her from the idiot gym teacher, and your heart went into a primal rage at someone you loved being hurt. It triggered a new power to be formed. So this could happen again, Naruto exclaimed. Yes. Jubi nodded. People fall in and out of love all the time, it doesn't change the fact that there was still love there. Adding into the fact that it is possible to love more than one person. More than one, Naruto shouted. Geez, you're loud tonight. Jubi grumbled. Yes, more than one. Just look at the lowly witch. Naruto stared at the Jubi for several seconds before just shaking his head and laughing. I can't believe you just called Yukari that. It's true. Jubi protested as Naruto laughed more before getting a grip. Okay, now do I lose these powers if I fall out of love with them? No. Once you have them they stay with you. Jubi replied. Alright, this is going to make my life complicated. Naruto sighed. Please, like your life was simple before I was locked in here. Jubi snorted as he turned away from the blonde. Now get out of here, I don't need your stupidity rubbing off on me. Naruto simply decided to ignore the giant demon as he exited the mindscape and went into the peacefulness of sleep. The next morning the girls were up before Naruto, and the 5 of them were all shocked to see him sleeping against a wall. Have you ever seen Naruto-kun asleep before? Yukari whispered. No, he's adorable. Kurumu gushed as they all stared at the sleeping blonde. Ugh, no soy sauce, Naruto muttered in his sleep as he moved a little. That was weird, Ruby stated before staring at him, but still adorable. This was met with nods of agreements before Kurumu moved to get closer. Just as she touched Naruto's shoulder his eyes shot open and he had her pinned to the wall with a kunai at the back of her neck, ready to stab right through. There was a stunned silence as they all stared at the blonde who blinked a few times and then released Kurumu. Sorry about that. Naruto said as he yawned, kind of a reflex. What kind of person has the reflex to try and stab somebody when they are touched in their sleep? Yukari asked in shock. Shinobi. Naruto replied as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. The girls all just shook their heads as Naruto walked into the kitchen and was quickly making himself some coffee. You guys all ready to leave? Naruto asked. Yeah. Moka nodded in return. Good. You can take the bus back with me, you're already busted. Naruto stated as he poured his coffee and saw the looks of accusation aimed at him. Headmaster already knew that you five had left, he just told me to make sure you got back alright. There was a general mumbling about that as they got their bags ready and Naruto finished packing. Soon they were out of the hotel and back on the bus for Yokai Academy. As they arrived, Naruto saw Mikagami and Nekonim waiting for them and smirked as the girls looked terrified. Once they were off the bus, Nekonim took the 5 girls with her as Naruto walked with the headmaster. Their work was outstanding, Mikagami noted. I try, Naruto replied, but this feels way too organized for just a large group of lizards. Agreed. Mikagami nodded. It's why I am having some contacts investigate this matter and see where it leads. If it is an organization, then you have made yourself some powerful enemies. But the way I live my life, that isn't a surprise. Naruto chuckled as they walked. Once they got to the school, Naruto walked into the newspaper room to find that the girls were sitting in there, having to write 5,000 times I will not leave school grounds without permission again. When Naruto saw this, he almost burst out laughing but stopped himself when he saw all 5 of them look at him and decided to sit in the room and work on his homework. After all, he couldn't leave them by themselves. He needs to be dealt with, was the simple statement made to the other antithesis members as they met to decide how to deal with the ever-growing thorn in their side. But how is the question? Another remarked, I mean, this is the guy who smacked Caillou around like he was an uppity C-class yokai. I may have a solution to this little problem. A third chuckled as he began to lay out the plan. It could work. A woman noted, most purebreds have a hard time fighting against numbers. Then it's decided. Naruto Uzumaki will be eliminated. The first one stated as this was met with agreement by the others. Said individual was just awakening as he glared at the alarm clock and decided that blasting it with a ball of fire would not be a good decision. Grumbling to himself, he got ready for the day, going through his usual morning rituals before heading out for his morning training session with the girls. As he arrived in the cemetery where they were meeting, he saw that the 4 of them were already waiting for him and it seemed they were discussing a plan on how to defeat him. Ready? Naruto asked as he set down his backpack with theirs and moving across from them, taking off Moka's Rosario as he passed by. We sure are. Kurumu grinned. Today is the day that I win that date with you. Naruto only chuckled as he slipped into a fighting stance and faced his sparring partners. Due to Naruto's unbroken winning streak, he had come up with a wager for them so that they would try even harder to defeat him. Kurumu had wanted to go on an official date with him. Yukari had asked for him to do one request that she would make after she won, and Mizore hadn't said what she wanted, but that he would know when she finally beat him. Moka was the only one that hadn't needed any extra incentive to fight him, as her inner self had stated that the esteem of being the first to defeat him would be worth more than any trivial reward. The match started with a bang as Yukari and Mizore worked together to send a barrage of icicles and tarot cards at him, while Kurumu grabbed Moka and took to the sky to have the vampire attack him from above. Naruto simply started to weave through the onslaught as he moved further and further into the graveyard, stopping as he saw Moka's shadow being dropped on him. Flipping forward, he dodged the initial kick and focused his chakra into his legs as he kicked a headstone at her that she backhanded into nothing more than small rocks. Nice try. Moka chuckled, but it's time you learned your place. Bring it. Naruto grinned as they began exchanging blows, with Naruto grinning more as he saw that Moka had been taking these training sessions seriously and had started to gain an actual fighting style that she had developed to combat his unpredictable style. It made her just as hard to predict as him, though she relied on power compared to his speed, and this made for interesting matches between the two. As Naruto flipped through the air to avoid a deadly uppercut, he saw Mizore hadn't been idle as she sent a massive barrage of ice kunai at him, while Kurumu dived towards him, trying to entrap him in an illusion. Twisting as he landed, he managed to put a tombstone to his back and used it to deflect the kunai as he began fluctuating his chakra to stop any potential illusion before it could start. Once the sounds of impact stopped, Naruto moved in time to avoid Moka's trademark axe kick that crushed the tombstone as 2 tarot cards came around in a pincer that would have hit him if he hadn't moved. Nice work, ladies. Naruto applauded as he stood up and rolled up his sleeves to show the seals. You've just earned the right to fight me without weights. Crap. Moka cursed as she grabbed a headstone and chucked it at him. Naruto only jumped over it as he touched the wrists and suddenly felt the rush of being so much lighter. Landing, he bounced on the balls of his feet for a few seconds before taking off at insane speeds that left after images of him that the girls were trying to figure out where the real one was. Yukari was the first one taken out as he appeared behind her and with a chop to the neck knocked her out. As he did this, he saw Kurumu had spotted him as well as Mizore and smirked as he saw them both target him. Leaping into the air, he managed to land on Kurumu's back and send her crashing into the ground where he turned and realized that he should have gone for Mizore first as he got hit with a blast of freezing wind that slowed him down for a second as Moka struck from the side, punching him hard enough to send him skidding a few feet back. It was then that Moka realized the mistake as she saw the tags on the tombstones around her. Boom. Naruto chuckled as he triggered the trap, dazing the girl and blinding her with the debris as he charged straight towards Moka, tackling her to the ground and then rolling forward as he charged straight at Mizore, who couldn't react in time as he grabbed her by the throat and pinned her to the tree where she blinked at the impact and saw that he had stopped a kunai just over her eye. Darn. She muttered as Naruto smiled gently at her as he turned and saw that Moka was back on her feet and was stalking towards him. "Ready?" she asked. "Always." Naruto nodded as they began another exchange of blows. The pair fought for a few more minutes before he finally managed to wear down Moka to the point where he could get in the final blow needed to knock her senseless and for him to win. Bam. He sighed as he checked the stopwatch that he had hanging from his backpack and the final time is 31 minutes and 11 seconds. New record. Akarumu grumbled from where she lay. "I thought you weren't going to use those seals anymore. Unless you push me to that." Naruto stated, "You four have improved quite a bit since these sessions started and it's obvious to anyone that knows you. When we first started this I didn't have to release the seals to beat you, but now I have to unless I'm using my special abilities. But that isn't fair since you can just tie us up with our shadows." Yukari complained. "Most of you?" Naruto corrected. "Moka breaks out every time and Kurumu can still use her illusions. Doesn't help much." Yukari grumbled. Naruto only chuckled as he removed his shirt and started putting on the school uniform. Not for the first time the girls all stared at his toned upper body and the scars that marked its surface. "You never have told us where you got those scars," Moka remarked as Naruto tossed her the Rosario as he finished buttoning up the blazer. "In various fights." Naruto shrugged as he picked up his backpack. "But how?" Mizore asked. Naruto only shrugged as he walked into the woods and towards the school, and for the girls, this was the way Naruto let them know he didn't want to talk about it. Now while the girls all love to pry into Naruto's life whenever they see OULD for various reasons, they also knew better than to cross that unspoken line that Naruto had. To do that would be to betray his trust and they couldn't imagine their lives without the blonde shinobi. School carried on like any normal Friday and once the clubs were finished for the day, Naruto went to sit up on the roof and stare at the horizon while his thoughts drifted back to the home he had left behind. Naruto was so caught up in his thoughts that he didn't hear the soft footsteps approaching him until the person was right next to him and sitting down. Glancing over he saw Mizore sitting there and looking at him with concern. Naruto only gave her a small smile and lifted his left arm to signal to her that she could move closer. The uchiha didn't hesitate to move under the arm and lean her head against his shoulder as they sat there in silence, simply enjoying the view. As the afternoon gave way to evening Mizore finally spoke. "Naruto, are you okay?" "I guess. Just feeling a little homesick." "Why?" "It's been almost a year since the Fourth Shinobi World War ended and I'm not there to see how things are progressing. Are the people really moving towards peace or are they slipping back into old habits? I'm not there to go pay my respects to the good people that died for me, the ones I had to leave behind in order to win. I miss those forests, the people, all the places that I got to see and wanted to visit again." Another silence fell over them as Mizore processed Naruto's words and looked at his face to see that he was a little more melancholy than normal. "Naruto-kun, you can go home again eventually," Mizore pointed out. "I know. But 3 years is a long time." Naruto sighed as he pulled her closer, taking some small comfort in her presence. "At least I have you and the others around, Mizore-chan." A small blush appeared on Mizore's face as she heard the words and relished the feeling of being held by him like this. A few more minutes passed before Naruto stood up, earning a small moan of displeasure from Mizore as he did and walked towards the edge of the building. "Well, it's getting late and by now the doors are locked." Naruto sighed as he offered Mizore a hand up. Once she was standing he picked her up bridal style and walked down the edge of the roof and then back onto the ground where he put her down. Mizore was now doing everything she could to control her blush at the actions that Naruto had taken as he walked her back to the dorms where she stopped and decided to take a chance. As the pair faced each other, Mizore removed her lollipop and kissed the blonde shinobi. Naruto was surprised by this action but didn't protest the kiss as he snaked his arms around her and pulled her close. When they finally parted, Naruto had a smile on his face and Mizore looked like she didn't want to stop kissing him. "I should go," Naruto said. "Okay." Mizore nodded, a little disappointed he didn't want to stay but willing to take the small victory she had today. "I'll see you tomorrow, Mizore-chan." Naruto smiled as he gave her a quick kiss before leaving, missing Mizore's smile as she turned and went back to the dorms with a spring in her step. It was late in the night when two shadowed figures met in the woods near the school, one taller and the other shorter. "Are you ready?" the shorter one asked. "Yeah, not sure why we don't use the uchiha instead," the taller man grumbled. "Because she doesn't have as many weaknesses that can be exploited as the uchiha and because Naruto won't be able to turn the trap to his advantage this way as well. Now are you sure you can defeat him?" Positive. He's strong in a one-on-one fight, maybe even against a few people at once, but mob him with dozens of opponents, and he will be overwhelmed and crushed. The second man chuckled, we'll get the bait tomorrow morning and make sure that he doesn't have time to get anything ready to counter us. Good. The sooner you kill him the better. The shorter one stated as he walked away. I want this done right. No excuses. Got it? The man nodded as he walked the other way to finish up the last-minute preparations. The next morning Naruto was meditating on top of the school as he had a clone working on his articles at the club when he sensed a presence approaching him in a rush. Opening an eye as he stopped channeling the nature chakra, he saw a student running towards him. "You're Naruto Uzumaki, right?" he asked, clearly in a panic. "I am, what's wrong?" Naruto asked as he stood up and the student handed him an envelope. "I was told to get this to you as quickly as I could or they would kill me." "Who?" Naruto asked. "I can't say," he said as he turned and started running. "I don't want anything to do with this." Naruto only frowned as he opened the envelope to see a letter and a picture inside. As he unfolded the letter, his rage spiked in a pillar of red chakra that continued to rise as he saw the photo as well. "We have the vampire Moka as the photo will prove. If you are not at the abandoned school building by noon we will kill her." Naruto read as he looked at the photo and saw Moka was chained up under a waterfall that was clearly causing her pain from the look on her face. Naruto checked the time and realized that he had 2 minutes until the deadline and quickly made a Kage Bunshin and handed it the envelope with a note and picture. "Get this to Mikagami so he knows what is going on and alert him that if he doesn't get there quickly that they will need body bags instead of stretchers." Naruto hissed as he turned and made his way to the abandoned dorm. It took him a minute to get there and kick the doors down, walking in with a sinister red aura around him. "Well, you're just in time." A man laughed from the shadows near Moka. "I was hoping you were going to be here on time, no sense in killing her without you here." The figure revealed himself to be Saizo, who now had a knife at Moka's throat. "Enjoy the show." Before Saizo could make even the smallest of cuts, Naruto's shadow leapt up off the ground and slammed into Saizo like a speeding semi-truck, sending him crashing through the wall behind him. Naruto quickly ran towards Moka only to see that Saizo hadn't been alone as dozens of students dropped down around him or stepped out of the shadows, effectively surrounding him. "That was a bad move, Uzumaki. Now you get to be beaten before we kill the vampire." Saizo laughed as he walked out of the hole, transforming into his true form as he entered the light. "No," Naruto said as the aura started to solidify into a one-tailed cloak, "you're all going to wish you were dead by the time I'm done." Before a single laugh could be made, the tail wrapped around one student's neck and slammed him into 3 others before throwing him into a pillar with a sickening crunch as his spine snapped. Naruto moved like the wind as he struck at the various students with crippling blows and let his tail smash more of them into the ground as he slowly made his way through the entire gang until only Saizo was standing there looking shocked at this turn of events. No, this can't be happening." Saizo roared as he tried to crush Naruto. The blonde only had his tail wrap around the extended arm and throw him over his shoulder. Turning, he saw the orc getting back up and charge at him, clearly in a blind rage. Naruto simply stood there as he created a Rasengan in both hands and slammed the 2 spheres into the orc's chest, sending him flying from the building and leaving a massive trail of destruction as he did so. Turning, Naruto walked over to Moka, letting the chakra cloak drop as he cut her down with one of the kunai that he kept on him at all times. Moka gasped as he pulled her from the water and realized that she was severely weakened. "Just relax, I'll get you to the infirmary," Naruto promised as he picked her up and saw Ruby and Mikagami arriving. "Naruto-kun," Ruby shouted as she saw him walking out of the building. "Is anyone dead?" Mikagami asked. "No. I restrained myself that much. But there are plenty with broken bones and few might not be walking again," Naruto stated calmly as he headed towards the infirmary. "Let this be a message as to what happens if you target my friends." The headmaster quietly thanked whatever deity had left these students alive, knowing that if Naruto had killed them, it would have become a bloodbath as the families of the slain came after Naruto, who would fight to defend himself, and the cycle would only continue. It didn't take Naruto long to reach the infirmary, and after laying Moka down on one of the beds, stepped out of the room where he was able to sit and try to relax the rage inside of himself that demanded that he make everyone responsible for Moka's pain suffer 100-fold. As he sat there, he heard footsteps approach him and glanced over to see a student that he didn't recognize approaching him. Be about Naruto's height with blonde hair and 2 crescent-shaped scars on his face, with one going up into the hairline, while the other one under his left eye. "Who are you?" Naruto asked with a glare. "Name's Mido Kusabi, and we got a score to settle, Uzumaki," Mido stated as Naruto locked eyes with him. "You dealt some serious damage to my subordinates, and that needs to be addressed. They kidnapped my friend. They paid the price," Naruto replied coldly. "See, that's the kind of purebred crap that pisses me off," he roared as he slugged Naruto, or tried to as his fist passed right through the blonde. Word of advice, make sure that your opponent isn't faster than you when you try a straightforward attack like that. Naruto stated from behind Midu as he kicked him down the hall and into a wall. Now if you want to continue this fight, let's take it outside. Fine with me. Midu chuckled as he stood up. Glad you ain't beeping out on this. I don't run from a fight. Naruto stated as they went outside and faced each other. You gonna transform? Midu asked her. Are you too good to do that against some half-breed? You've got the guts to come at me face to face, I'll do you one better. Naruto stated as he took off his blazer and rolled up his sleeves, revealing the seals. See where I'm from, these seals are used to enhance gravity on the person. I'm currently at 35 times Earth's gravity. With that he disengaged the seals and made eye contact with Midu. I can't control my transformations, but I will still take you seriously. Heh, what a load of shit. What kind of purebred bastard can't control his Shirayuki form? He laughed. One that is made not born. Naruto stated as he entered a fighting stance. You going to take this serious as well, or do I have to beat you around the school a few times before you do? Heh. No, I'll go all out. Midu stated as he transformed, and Naruto quickly noted that he would have to watch out for the giant right arm that was emanating a demonic energy. Any ideas on that, Jubi? Naruto asked. There are a multitude of demons that he could likely trace his ancestry back to. He's a mix of various yokai, so he will have some unexpected abilities and weaknesses. Jubi replied calmly. But that little tidbit of information. Naruto exhaled slowly and focused on the matter at hand. The two combatants clashed, both feeling out the other as they searched for strengths and weaknesses in the other's form, and once the exchange was finished they both backed away, Midu frowning as Naruto nodded his understanding. Seems like you got more out of that than I did, Uzumaki. He noted. I have you figured out. Naruto stated. One thing I have worked a lot on is beepizing my opponents and learning as much about them as I can in as little amount of time as possible. And what have you learned? You favor the right side more than the left, and that your left side is only slightly better than your average human. Naruto remarked. It's the right side that has all the real fire and all the real danger. Not bad, but you're underestimating me as a whole. Midu laughed as he attacked Naruto with an enhanced punch that Naruto only sidestepped to avoid and launch a quick jab into the side of Midu's head. As Midu stumbled back, Naruto pressed the advantage and tore apart Midu's fighting style and noted that he had an endurance and pain tolerance that would equal Moka with ease. After one particularly vicious blow, Midu skidded back as Naruto studied him with interest. You're pretty fast there. Midu gasped. And you are pretty durable. Naruto noted as he cracked his neck. But I am finished with this game. I have a friend to go check on. Before Midu could continue, Naruto flicked his wrist and had Midu's own shadow grab the man as he pulled him into the Hyutin. Rasengan that struck with devastating brutal power of a winter wind moving at close to 1,000 miles an hour. All Midu could do was scream as he was sent flying back, crashing into the building behind him and laying in the crater, clearly dazed and unable to move. Pathetic. Naruto sighed as he walked back inside and let the nurse on duty know about the kid and that he needed to be taken care of. The next day Naruto was back in the infirmary, checking on Moka, who had regained consciousness but was still under observation for the rest of the day. I can't believe they attacked Moka like that. Yukari whispered from outside the room where the other girls were waiting while Naruto talked with Moka a bit in private. I know. But vampires do have a lot of weaknesses. Kurumu pointed out. So do all of us. Mizore stated. I'm weak against fire, you're weak against anything with an equal or greater amount of brains than you and superior strength. Aiming that last one at Kurumu, and you are inexperienced in combat and can be taken down if they get the wand away from you. We all have weaknesses. Except Naruto Koi. Kurumu gushed. No. I have weaknesses as well. Naruto said from behind them, scaring them as he closed the door. Don't do that. Kurumu shouted. You're going to give me wrinkles way too early like that. How is she? Yukari asked. Recovering. She should be out by tomorrow, the doctor hopes. I planned on sticking around to make sure that she'll be okay. Naruto sighed as he took a seat. What do you mean you have weaknesses too? Mizore asked. I have my weak spots, and all it takes is the right trap and I won't be able to do anything. Naruto sighed. No one is invincible. If you say so. Yukari nodded. Look, until we figure out what is going on, stay in contact and try and stay together as much as possible. This way we have a way to try and deter whoever is doing this. Naruto explained. Always two of you at least. This should deter another attempt like this to get to me. What if they get both of us? Mizore asked. And they are going to get double the ass kicking as those poor bastards on the 3rd floor ICU ward. Naruto replied in a tone that said he would deliver on that threat. The girls all nodded and hung around for a few hours before leaving to take care of things at the club with one of Naruto's clones. The blonde had refused to leave Moka's side while she was in this condition, and he knew that there were plenty of yokai that would target a weakened vampire, especially whoever had planned that attack against him yesterday. After a few hours passed, Naruto stood up to get some lunch from the vending machines a floor down and made sure to inform the doctor that no one was to go into Moka's room while he was away. After grabbing a few bags of chips and a bottle of water, he started walking back up the stairs when he heard the sounds of footsteps moving through the halls and frowned at that. Opening the door, he saw that there were dozens of students shuffling through the halls and that there was a woman in a nurse's uniform walking down the hall with Moka right behind her, shuffling like the rest of the students. "What is going on here?" Naruto asked as he dropped his food and drink and entered the second floor for the woman to see. "There you are." She chuckled. "I was wondering where you had gotten to." "I won't ask again." "What is going on?" Naruto hissed as he flared his chakra to make the point. "It's quite simple. After you defeated Midu so easily, I figured that I should handle you." She chuckled. "I mean, you can beat up anyone who isn't your friend, but I doubt you could seriously hurt one of your friends." Naruto scowled at the girl as he saw Moka moving towards him, and before he could react, he realized that she was moving as fast as her inner self and swinging a knife at him that he barely dodged as he jumped onto the wall and then launched himself towards the puppet master. Before he reached her, 2 students moved in the path to block him and he plowed right into them as the nurse moved behind more of her thralls. "Now that's not going to happen. You just stay there and die quietly." She laughed. "Who are you?" Naruto growled as he dodged another student trying to grab him and kicked him into a wall. "Why do you care?" "I want to know the name of the person I'm going to be beating senseless after I catch up to you," Nero stated as he dodged another student. "HMPH, arrogant like all other purebloods. But since this is your dying request, I suppose I'll give you my name so you can say who killed you when you get to hell. My name is Mako Yakimaru, and now you can just die." Mako shouted as the students swarmed him. Since Naruto didn't know most of them, he had no qualms about defending himself and proceeded to beat them senseless, even creating a Kage Bunshin to watch his back as they quickly sent the dozens of students flying back into walls, doors, and each other. It wasn't until the clone dispersed that Naruto realized that Moka had finally made her way through the crowd and that he now had a problem. Dodging and ducking the swings from the knife, Naruto couldn't bring himself to hurt Moka for something that wasn't her fault and quickly tried to use her shadow to incapacitate her and found that she was just too strong and ripped through it with ease. "Crap." Naruto cursed as he leaned back to avoid a slash and used an arm to block the kick she tried to use against him. "It's pointless. You can't bring yourself to stop her and she is too strong for any of your pathetic tricks to work." Mako laughed as she watched Naruto do everything that he could to avoid Moka's knife. "She won't get tired and she will do exactly as I command." Naruto only muttered more curses under his breath as he kept just staying out of reach of his friend who was intent on hurting him. It wasn't until Naruto made eye contact that he saw that she was crying and he realized that she was aware of everything that was happening to her. "I'm sorry, Naruto-kun," Moka whispered as she swung the knife again, and Naruto wasn't able to fully avoid the slash and felt the sting as it broke the skin on the side of his face where she made the cut. Those words, the tears, and the pained look in her eyes made Naruto's heart ache as he saw them, and inside he wanted to sadness then turned into a righteous fury as he began to focus again. His eyes flashed in cold fury as he suddenly felt his blood both boiling and freezing in his veins. Reaching up to touch the cut, his eyes focused on the puncture wound that showed where Moka had been injected with whatever was used to control her. But the blood on his fingers, he twisted forward and dodged the thrust Moka had made before he pointed his index finger with the blood at the wound and watched in fascination as it shot off of his fingers and into the puncture wound, where as soon as it entered seemed to cause Moka to freeze in place as her muscles twitched for a second before she collapsed on the floor and Naruto turned his attention on Mako, who looked horrified. How did you do that?" she shouted as Naruto walked closer, his eyes still burning in a rage. "You and your friends have no idea who I am, do you?" Naruto asked as he walked closer, his shadow twisting behind him until it took the shape of the 10-tailed beast, the tails flailing behind him and terrifying Mako beyond anything she had ever encountered. "I am a walking nightmare, a demon that can create and destroy entire worlds. I am your worst nightmare." But the scream Mako tried to run, but Naruto would have none of that as he drove a finger into the cut to get more blood and launched it at Mako in a high-speed bullet that shot through her left leg and dropped her to the ground where she tried to crawl away as Naruto walked over to her slowly, drawing his kunai and making a cut in his hand and letting the blood transform in his very hands. Grabbing her arms, he had the blood turn into a blade as he contemplated killing her before he heard Moka moaning and glanced over to see her awakening. "Moka?" Naruto whispered as he regained his senses and looked at the gibbering wreck that was Mako and let his mercy take hold and simply knocked her out before looking at the wound on his hand that he knew was self-inflicted. "Jubi," Naruto began in worry. "Yes. Did I just get the ability to manipulate my blood?" "That you did. But we are going to have to be careful with that one, use too much and it could kill you," Jubi remarked as he then sensed Naruto's turmoil. "Is there a problem?" I'm in love with two of my closest friends. Naruto shouted, of course there is a problem. Ending the conversation there, he leaned down to help Moka back into her room, and once she was settled, created a small army of Kage Bunshin to carry the other students back to their beds or wherever it was that they were supposed to be, and taking Mako into an empty room and handcuffed her to the bed with a clone outside the door to guard against anyone entering. But that taken care of, Naruto went to Mikagami to discuss what exactly was happening. As he made his way into room before the office, Ruby saw him and was about to say something until she saw the look in his eyes and realized that this was a bad time and let the blonde go straight in to see Mikagami, who was sitting behind his desk waiting for him. "We need to talk," Naruto stated as he walked towards the exorcist. "Of course." Mikagami nodded as motion for Naruto to sit. "I've just had 3 attempts on my life in as few as 2 days, and they were too coordinated to be anything less than an organization," Naruto stated as he sat down, barely staying calm. "Yes. I hadn't planned on having you deal with this threat for some time, however they have come for you instead," Mikagami stated calmly. "They are called Antithesis, an organization of hybrid yokai that detest pure-blood yokai and the way that this school is run. They have been a problem for some time, and it was my intent to have you stomp them out next year once you were more familiar with your abilities and could handle that fight without anyone else getting involved." "Why are they after me?" "Likely due to how quickly you have been bringing about change and supporting me. Within half the school year you took down the school protection committee. That is no small feat, and they are likely acting to preserve their own interests. And their detest of other yokai. They are hybrids, and most pure-blooded yokai look down on them. They are treated badly and are often forced to be subservient to the pure-blooded yokai. It is part of the reason that I don't want students revealing their true forms in the school, to give all students a chance to be equal." Mikagami sighed. Naruto sighed as he let all this information process before speaking. "They have brought the fight to me, not only targeting my friends, but also turning them against me as pups. They have more than earned my wrath." Mikagami looked at Naruto and saw the anger in his eyes. "This antithesis has just pissed me off. What do I need to do to bring them down for good?" Mikagami only nodded as he and the blonde began planning the next step in preserving the safety of the school. Sukun sighed as he gathered his books and made his way out of school for the day. Things had been decent for the young man as he had been accepted into a high school not too far from home, so he could easily commute as long as he avoided the group of delinquents that hung around the front of the school and had been terrorizing him for his money every day he had been stupid enough to go through. The front doors. "You really need to stick up for yourself, Aono-san," Sakaki Shio, the gym teacher, said as he saw the boy hesitating about which way to exit today. "Running away never fixes anything." "Boo, but they are too tough," Tsukuni whimpered. Sakaki sighed as he looked at the youth. He had taken a liking to the kid as he saw him having such problems with getting bullied by other students, but also somehow making a few friends that would stick up for him when they were around. "Look, I'll make you a deal. You go out the front and stand up to those punks, and if you still lose your train fare then I will give you the money you need. The point is that you can't be afraid all the time. Do you always want to be some scared little boy?" "And no." Sukun jumped as Sakaki had shouted. "Then show me you can be a man and stand up for yourself," he exclaimed as the boy nodded and turned and walked out the front door. Sakaki smiled as he watched the boy leave and then winced as he saw the boys start to beat up the poor kid. "Damn it," Sakaki cursed as he ran out the door to stop them. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video for second part of this series. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. And now it's time for me to go, bye.